This is a 1982 Boss NF-1 noise gate. The older Boss pedals, they use what is called ACA power for their power supplies, and modern Boss pedals use what is called PSA power. So what that simply means is 12 volts comes from the power supply on the ACA type. On the newer type, it's a 9-volt supply. On almost all of your modern pedal power supplies, they are 9-volt. There are some that have a 12-volt option. However, that can be a little bit annoying, confusing, and all that. What would happen in these older Boss pedals, and I'll show you very quickly here, this explanation is actually going to take more time than the video itself should take to show you how to do this modification. So take a look there. The LED is very bright. It looks very good. Now we're going to close this off, and I'm going to put a standard 9-volt power supply in. And the thing is, a 9-volt power supply will not damage an older pedal. They just don't work optimally. So let's check this out now. See how the LED is very dim compared to where it is if you have the 9-volt battery powering it. See how much brighter it gets just with the 9-volt battery? Let's go here with the power supply and then back to the 9-volt battery. Okay, so with that said, what happens is there is a resistor and a diode inside of the pedal that take that 12-volt voltage and make it work with what we have in here. So there's a whole bunch of history to it, but I mean, long story short, nobody saw the pedal revolution coming with all the power supplies being standardized and all of that good stuff. So let's get this out of the way. Now, all of these 1982, or I shouldn't say 82, I'm picking 82 because I was born in 82 and I really like 82 pedals. Here's one I did a conversion on. Here's another one I did a conversion on. And I have several others that I've done. And I bought them, like I said, because of my birth year. But I believe there were actually ACA power pedals clear up until 1995, if my memory serves me correct. You can check the Boss book and all of that. But anyway, okay, very simply, we're going to make this change. And I'm also going to make a second change. I want to change the LED to a blue one because that's what I've done with all of my other 1982s. Had I had the foresight, I would have done purple first. However, I didn't. Okay, what do you need to make this change? You need one of these guys here, good old soldering iron. You're going to need some solder. And then that's pretty much it. Okay, well, there's a little more, but not much more. You're going to need a way to remove the old components, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. And you're going to need to create some jumpers. A very simple way, most people have this, you cut the legs off of a resistor. If you have this lying around, you can use a bus wire. 24 or 26 gauge would probably be more appropriate than 22, but this is what I had for the demonstration. Okay, so let's put this guy back to the way it should be right here. That way we're not dealing with this flopping around. And I already have the back of this pedal off. So this piece here would go here with the foam pushing at the metal. Okay, that comes off here. And now we're in the back of the pedal. Okay, I'm going to show you quickly here. Now, the number and the value changes depending on which pedal you're working on. However, the position stays the same. So in some cases, the resistors are not labeled on what is called the service bulletin or the tech notes. I'm sorry, more appropriately, the tech notes. And it's not difficult. You find the diode that is referenced. And then in this case, we know it's a 470 ohm resistor. You wouldn't know that here without looking at the service notes, but there's a 470 ohm here and a 470 ohm here. Well, which one of these two is it? Well, on a Boss pedal that's affected by this, it is always the resistor that contacts the diode. And right here, this is the diode, this is the resistor. So we're going to remove this guy, and we're going to remove this guy. And then we'll replace that with a jumper. So you can use a variety of methods to get this off of here. I heat the solder up, I use my solder pump, and I give it a quick and then I just loosely begin to pry the components out. And the really great thing about this modification is it is 100% reversible. Okay, so let's go here. I might have to stop the recording and come back just because I have this set up kind of right over the pedal and I don't know if I'm gonna have a lot of room to work. So let's do this here in live time. Tin my iron just a tiny bit. Now I've labeled the components that I'm going to remove. Let's see if I have this in camera here. I should have checked that. I do apologize. My setup here is rather rudimentary. It's an iPhone on a little stand that I bought at Worst Buy, as I call it, that cost way too much money for it. So we're gonna heat this. Oh, look at that, my pump just shot stuff all over the place. But we did heat that up pretty good here. That's all right. Let's go like this. Alternatively, you could use solder braid to do this. I should have cleaned that out before my extravaganza on this. However, we don't believe in editing out our mistakes. And I just dumped more on it. We're still good there, though. All right. There we go. Now we're a little bit more cleaned up. Tin our tip. And same deal over here. We're just going to heat this up gently. Clean that out. I will admit that was a touch embarrassing. There we are. All right. Now I'll go to this other side here. I'm just going to gently lift on this, and then I'll apply a little bit more heat as necessary to remove what I need to remove. But it looks like we might be in good shape here. Let's see where we're at. Can you? I don't know why I'm asking you if you can see it. I am the one filming, and you are not here. Okay, that's one component out. And needs just a little bit more heat. Yes, that solder pump, I should have cleaned that out a little bit better before I worked on it, but I was doing some guitar work. Someone had boogered up a wiring job on a guitar, and it was brought in, and I took care of that. And I don't even know how much solder I inhaled out of that. All right, so there we go. Those are out. See the component markers here. Now, we need our jumpers, like I said. And I'm just using the cut legs of a resistor. So, like so, just cut the legs off of this resistor. Be very, very easy. Boom, done. Now, we're going to put these guys in the hole. I like to do this with a very loose bend on it. I don't try and get it precise yet, and I'll show you why. Because what's really nice about these resistor legs is once you pull them down, it'll look very neat, tidy on the board. Okay, so here we go. Both our jumpers are in, and it is really that simple. I'm just going to push these down here. And I do have to admit, it's kind of, I'm looking at my work, and then I'm videoing this, and I catch myself looking at the back of my phone. So like I said, they'll pull down, and they'll actually look rather neat that way, okay? We're just going to flip this over. Make sure we're not touching anything. Everything looks good, okay. Very simple now. A little bit of solder here. Done. Go to this one. That's done. Go to this one. Perfect. One more. Okay, I'm going to give that a second to cool. Now I want to show you this. This pedal was modified before I got it. I didn't change anything. I just can tell there's a big glob there. So what my intention is, I just want to take a little bit of that up. And then I'll reflow the joint so it looks a little bit nicer than it did. Looks good to me here. Make sure nothing came off on this side. Looks good. Okay, now that this solder has had a few seconds to cool off, I just want to nip these ends a little bit. I know I took this out of your view, but I'll bring it right back. Okay, so here we are. You can see where I made my changes. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the repaired joint. Everything looks good here. Okay, so I want to show you how to do the LED, and the LED is next. However, before I get to that, give me 1 second here. I just want to clean up my work area a tiny, tiny bit. It will only take but a second. I have the appropriate tool for that. I had to pick this up because my cat, no matter what incentive I give her to be anywhere but on my workbench, she decides my workbench, well, she wants to work. We'll just say that. Okay, so here we go. Let's clean this up real quick. Get this out of the way. Maybe. My lint roller's not doing too hot here. Holy heck, I'm falling apart. Let's pull this off. Boom. There we go. We're back in business. Oh, now, holy hell. My lint roller's, new one's being a little bit difficult. All right, I promise I know how to use a lint roller. All right, let's clean up some of this here quick. All right. That's good enough for a pedal video. Okay, back in business here. Okay, so we have our pedal. We've performed our modification. Now, if everything was done the way it should be, the LED should be just as bright with this battery as it is with the power supply. So, see my 9-volt battery in here? Boom. I'll just put that guy in just like so. Holy heck. There we go. Okay, so battery is in. And then we're also going to plug in our 12-volt DC. I'm sorry, 9-volt DC. 9-volt. That is not a 12-volt power supply. And just a cable to activate it. Okay, so there's our light. Light looks good. It's on. Now when I pull this out, it should be about the same brightness. That's very close. And that could be, you know, the difference between the battery just being newer or older. But there you go. Okay, so now we know that the voltage is good, both battery and with a power supply. So I told you as a bonus, we would do the LED. So here is the LED. Oh, sugar. The battery can stand there for now. It isn't hurting anything. Okay. So, to get to our LED, all you have to do is slide this guy out. And it's this guy right here. Okay? Very simple. Let's get a screwdriver here. And then just free that up. Sometimes you just really got to get on that, because there'll be whatever flux in there, or just, you know, 40 years of it being married to its friend there. Give that a light push, pull this out. Okay, now I want to show you this because it's going to make your life a little bit easier. This piece of plastic, do not toss that, because you're going to use that as your spacer. That's what's going to let your LED be just as high above the surface of the pedal as it was before. Now, you can look at this wire and you can go, oh, well, one of these is the positive, and you can do it that way, which I already mapped them out. But the other alternative, if you don't know if your pedal's wiring colors are correct, because remember, a wire doesn't know what color it is. The electricity doesn't care what color wire. So somebody could have been here screwing around and they could use different wires. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the solder from these, and I'm going to pull the LED out, and I'm going to put a new one in. Now, a quick thing here, your LED has 2 legs. See how one of these legs is longer? That's the positive. The positive is the anode, and we want to make sure that that corresponds to the positive on this. Otherwise, our LED will not function, or it could actually cause damage to it, which at the end of the day, it's not a huge difference because LEDs aren't very expensive. If you make a mistake, no big deal. Flip it around, replace it, but rather not mess up in the first place. Okay, so to remove the solder from this joint, we're going to do just like we did before, only the difference is I'm not going to dump a whole bunch of solder from my solder pump onto the spot. Now, you'll see here, there's the wire connections, and then there is also the LED connections. I don't mind if the connections get hot. I just don't want to remove the wires. I want to remove the LED. So heat this up a touch, give it a kiss with our solder pump. Same to the other side. Now when I do this, I don't like to hang on it too long, and oh, sugar. And the reason for that is I don't want to lift the trace from the board. If you don't know what you're doing, that can be difficult to repair. Repairing a signal trace isn't the end of the world either, but it's a giant pain in the ass. And I don't know about you, but I like less problems and not more. So heat this up again, give it another shot. We should be close to being able to just pull that out. Okay, now when you get to this stage, it doesn't hurt to do it this way. You're not going to hurt anything. Just grab the component, heat it up and give it a pull. There we are, we're out. Okay, now let's throw our LED everywhere. Pull this out. You can see our old LED. We can see our spacer here. And like I said, the spacer is just so you don't have to fight to keep that LED above the board here. Okay, so our anode on this is going to correspond to the red on this pedal. Boom, we're in. Okay. Now to hold this in place while I do this, I'm going to cheat. Let's fold those legs a little tiny bit. Now, these connections, they need to touch. So this is what's called a solder bridge. You don't want to have that on like in here unless it's intended, but here it's actually perfectly okay to do that. All right, so we're gonna go just like this. Get our iron going, a little bit of solder on there. Looks good. That also looks good. Now I want to bridge the joints, both. That's 1, 2. All right. So let's cut this end right off. And this end right here, we're going to cut it. Boom. I'm like Emerald Lagasse. If you're a younger viewer, you might not know what the hell I mean by that. Or maybe he said bam. I can't remember if it was bam or boom. All right, let's screw this back together. I just want to give that one more kiss before I call it a day. That's this joint here that I repaired that was previously done. Okay, boom, that looks great. Okay, now let's put our pedal back together. Oh, sugar, where did I put my screws at? Oh, I put them in the box. Ha-ha, I have the box to this. All right. We're gonna put this all the way back together, and then we're gonna show you that it still works, that I didn't blow it up. And I think it might actually be easier to see the difference in power on that LED from the red to the blue. I'm assuming the other one's red. I don't see color properly, which makes reading resistors a bitch. All right, one more here to go. Oh, don't want to cross thread it. poor thing was born in June 1982, and here I am abusing it. It's been 40 years of its poor life. Okay. Let's get our test cable back. Recall, there's a battery still in it. Look at that, that looks good. All right. Now, moment of truth. Plug this in. Now, when I unplug this, the brightness should be relatively the same. It's a little tiny bit brighter with the power supply, but that's because this battery is not running a full 9 volts like that power supply is. But if you recall at the beginning of the video, the battery brightness was greater than the power supply brightness. And just to show you that I'm not joshing you here on this battery, see it in my hand here. I don't want you thinking there's any tomfoolery. All right, boom, that's out of the way. Move this cable, and let's bring our meter in here. And I'll just show you where we're at. So we have our meter here, and let's connect our probes to the battery. So this battery is reading 8 3/4 volts, and our power supply is pulling a full 9 volts. So there you go. That is from start to finish how to change a Boss ACA pedal to PSA power. Now, one final thing that I'll add, what I think is good to do, I take the original components when I remove them from the pedal, and I put a little piece of tape on them, and then I put them inside the case. The other thing that I do for these, because some folks that know that the pedal takes 12 volts as a power supply, but they don't realize it can be modified, I just go like this. PSA mod. Done. So anyone plugging in there, they should see that, realize the pedal's been modified, and call it a day. And that's actually one of the other reasons why I changed the LED color, so people see that. So there you have it. That's from start to finish, how to change the LED and to change the pedal from ACA to PSA power.